Let's bring in the great Marty Smith. He is going to be covering the Red River Rivalry right here in our backyard coming up this weekend. And Marty is joining us on the home of the Cowboys here on the D&M Leasing Hotline. Good morning, man. How are you?
Home of the Cowboys. Y'all are happy this morning. I bet the phone lines are good.
Yeah, but we're reasonable. We're not thinking this is some type of big time contender win. But we'll take it. We'll take it as a nice.
Look, it's the NFL. You take them all.
There's truth in that.
You tweeted that college football was inebriated.
It was
this weekend. Yes. What were you covering, or how were you taking it all in?
I had the Missouri Texas A&M tilt in College Station, Texas, which they now call Bryan College Station, Texas, and I did not see that coming. Mike Elko has done a fantastic job of getting down to playing ball and uber toughness and winning the line of scrimmage. And he's got a couple guys at skill positions that can really play. And Connor Wegman looked like the guy we all thought he was. And so that was a massive win when you're beating a top 10 team, beating the brakes off a top 10 team the way that they just did. And here A&M, if you'd have told me going into week 7 that Texas A&M was leading the SEC, I'd have asked you. It'd have been like old Clark Griswold with his head sewn to the carpet.
Marty, help me here, because my college football brain can't comprehend how to feel after a loss. Because used to be you lose a game and you're done, your season's over. Now it's like,
right.
All right. Well, we might be able to lose one more. That's the big issue with the playoff for a lot of people, right?
I was asked this yesterday by one of my neighbors. They're like, "Well, does it matter as much anymore?" All I can tell you is the games are damn awesome, and they're awesome. You tell me where you find the energy that we all felt watching Diego Pavia beat Alabama.
Yeah.
First time that Vandy has ever beat a number 1 team. Sam Pitt, everybody's like, oh, he's got to go, this and that. Then they beat Tennessee, who has looked like world beaters. It's just the greatest game. It's the greatest game. Of course, last week we had the Georgia-Alabama game that was just as good a football game as you're ever going to see.
Yeah.
And for the rest of the season, there are these matchups. This matchup in Oregon this weekend, holy crap, I can't wait. And so you can certainly make the argument that the 12-team playoff doesn't or dilutes the value of every regular season game if you want to make that argument. But I think you can also make the argument that in your conference now, so now if you're Tennessee, now if you're Alabama, and Georgia's already lost, you got to win them. And so it is an interesting debate to be had, but I just feel like the actual between the lines games on the field are as good as I can remember. There's all kinds of stuff going on off the field with the portal and NIL and revenue sharing at the player level and conference realignment and all those things that we could debate till we run out of oxygen. But the games are pretty good.
Marty, that's enough about these old legacy schools, these Alabamas, these Tennessees, these bygone era teams. Let's talk about the number 1 ranked Texas Longhorns. Okay.
Yes, sir. All right.
All right. So Steve Sarkisian has pretty much shut down any sort of Arch Manning quarterback controversy. He's like, no, when Quinn's healthy, Quinn's the guy. He's the one to take the mantle. And I think that's pretty much the thought from most Texas fans. But there's a contingent out there that's saying, man, Arch is looking really good. Maybe it's time we just go with the young blood and move forward. How do you look at that approach right now with Texas in terms of their question that they're looking at with bringing Quinn Ewers back from the injury?
It's the right call. It's the right call. People, we are prisoners of the moment. That is the human condition. And we look at how well Arch has played. We appreciate so much, and I know I do, especially in this era of college football, his patience and his willingness to watch, to learn, to grow as a player. and he's looked really good. But you go Quinn Ewers beat Alabama on the road. Quinn Ewers dominated Michigan on the road. This guy's a dude. And had he not gotten hurt, had Dallas Turner not knocked his head off 2 years ago, he might have beat Alabama twice. So this kid is a big lights, big stage star. And so just because he got injured, to me, I appreciate Sark's approach here. I think it's the right approach.
Marty Smith, ESPN, joined us here at 105 through the Fan. They clearly deserve to be the number one team. They don't have a whole lot of flaws. Are they your pick right now to win it all?
I don't see why they wouldn't be. I try to be measured at this time of the season. If you would have asked me this a couple of weeks ago, in fact, I might have said this a couple of weeks ago, Tennessee's looks like the best team in the country. And they look really good. Texas looks really good. I don't think there's any debate right now that Texas is the number one team they deserve to be. If they stay healthy through this SEC slate, they still host Georgia, who I believe Kirby Smart feels more confident in even after they lost to Alabama. He was tight as Dick's hat band. I mean, tight. I was there before they played Clemson before the season. I was there one other time, and I know Kirby really well, way back to his days as the DC for Saban. He's a really fun guy. But in the interviews I've done with him this year, he kind of doesn't look at me. He kind of looks past me. And there's an edge and an intensity that is very palpable. But if you notice his press conference after they lost to Alabama, there was a looseness, there was a clarity that I think he was going, I got a national championship caliber football team. And so Texas still has to beat those guys. It's going to be unbelievable atmosphere. Holy smokes.
Yeah, and
I love Texas. I love Sark. I love his vulnerability. I love his transparency. I love him as a man, as a human being. And he's probably the best offensive mind in the game. But that's a pro game.
Well, and you mentioned, big games coming up. There's obviously this one that you're going to have some coverage for, the Red River rivalry with Oklahoma. And that was an Oklahoma team that people felt like Texas should have beat last year. Like that was a team that you felt like you should have been better than, and they had a stumble there. When Oklahoma coming into this game with some of the quarterback instability that they've had recently, how do you look at what's going to be the key for Oklahoma to come in here and pull off an upset again? Like what would be their mode of attack that they're going to be able to upset Texas?
Well, defensively they're very good. They're +8 in turnover margin so far this year. They got to turn Texas over. They also have got to run the football. Now, whether that's design quarterback runs, whether that's some really smart short passing game with the RPO, they have to be very effective and move the chains and keep Texas off the football field and rest their defense. I know it sounds like, I'm Woody Hayes, 1979, whatever, but that's just the truth. They have to be really good at the line of scrimmage and a point of attack, and they have to turn Texas over. They've been very good at that this year. And it's going to be interesting. I know all of you guys probably ordered one of those Danny Stutzman T-shirts last year, and I love making y'all laugh. That's my favorite thing. But they're going for $34 on his website, apparently. We try to uncover every little pebble at the worldwide leader in sports, my friends.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. How many times have you been to this game this weekend?
Never.
Never. All right. No. So what are y'all doing with the fair, and how many funnel cakes and all the state fair? What are you doing off the field?
Every single week on Sports Center, on Friday afternoon on Sports Center, I try to do a live shot, or I do a live shot every Friday, but I try really hard to do something that's very authentic to either the program we're visiting. Yeah. For example, 3 weeks ago, I painted the eye of the tiger in Death Valley. I painted the actual tiger eye terribly, just for the record. Awful. They had to clean up my mess. 2 weeks ago, I worked with the Auburn University Eagle handlers as Independence the Eagle came squawking out of the sky. I thought she was going to use her vicious talons to claw my eyeball out. And then last weekend, I actually was in a Black Hawk helicopter that was part of the flyover at the A&M game. Well, I have learned this morning that there are piglet races at the state fair.
Yes, there is.
All right? I'm fascinated by this. I saw a slow-mo piglet race. Dude, I'm in. So I'm going to try to commentate a piglet race, which means, all right, if there's 4 or 5 piglets, what do you think the piglets' names are? They probably have amazing names. Like, there's probably like a Leroy.
Oh, yeah.
There's probably like a Ham. There's probably like a Fat Boy, right? So, Fat Boy, it's Fat Boy's Ham. Go Ham. It's just too good.
Marty Smith, ESPN, here on behalf of Game Change as well. Go GameChange.com. Before we get to what that is, you got your hands in everything. So I want you to rank the chaos of walking with these people in public. All right? Tebow, Saban, Dale Jr., or the other name that would replace Dale Jr. in NASCAR. What would the most chaos and circus be like?
Well, I will tell you, being with Tim Tebow is an interesting experience, and I have a lot of buddies who are country music stars. Some of my best friends are country music stars, like super big time dudes.
Okay.
And so walking with them, you have this aura and this energy that you're genuinely with a rock star.
Right.
Tim Tebow's famous, y'all. I forget that because he's like my brother and he's an elite ball buster. Like, I mean,
Really?
world class. And
Wow.
so I know that Tim. So when we walk out in public and people lose their minds, it's like, oh yeah, wow, I forgot you're super duper famous. And so I would say, I mean, I don't know, man, like being with Coach Saban is interesting. And we've seen this beautiful evolution of Coach on game day. So I haven't seen yet, like walking through with him now.
Yeah.
But excuse me, I got choked up talking about the GOAT. But I would have to put Tim, man. I would say, I don't know, man, being with Eric Church is a thing.
Okay.
Eric Church. I was just in Nashville. Does he have a bar there on Broadway?
Does he?
I
He
think he's
does,
got
and,
Rodney Scott barbecue added to it. I wanted some whole hog this weekend.
Yes, he does. And you guys should go by there. It's at 2nd and Broadway.
Mhm.
It's called Chiefs.
Yep.
You guys should go by there because some of his business partners would really appreciate if you guys went by Chiefs and spent your entire 401k.
Marty, tell us about Game Change. What is this?
It's actually a really unique platform, guys. In this iteration of college sports that is so transactional and transformative from the financial perspective, all of us can't spend $5 million and put our name on a building. We don't have that kind of wealth. But we can all round up at the grocery store. Here's what you do. GoGameChange.com. You go to GoGameChange.com, input your credit or debit card of choice, and then you pick your favorite school. You pick the University of Texas, and then every single purchase you make with that credit or debit card that you input into GoGameChange.com, it automatically rounds up to the next dollar. The difference goes directly to the University of Texas. And then the athletic department disperses that funding however they so choose. It is a tax write-off. It's considered a charitable donation, and you enter yourself for cash and prizes. Look, if you're the University of Texas, you're A&M, you're Ohio State, you're Michigan, you have tremendous financial donorship. If you're Radford University, where I went, small D1 in Virginia, it's about survival. So it's a very cool way for all of us to benefit the athletic programs that we support and we appreciate and the student athletes for whom we cheer. GoGameChange.com, credit or debit card, pick your school, you're off and running. It's an awesome initiative, and I'm grateful for you guys for giving me a moment to talk about it. Thank you.
Takes a hell of a lot to interrupt a Cowboys Monday. We knew you would be worth it, and you were. Thank you so much, man. You're welcome back anytime. Thank you, Marty.
Appreciate your spirit, guys. Thank you for the time.